I'm always looking for an angle. I'm frugal. I'm looking for a way to play the rich man's game without being the rich man. I don't want to save up for years to buy the $150,000 boat, but I want what that boat has. I just don't want to pay for it. This week on Everything You Need to Know, the Hunter Legend. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's sugar scoop, something I was never taught. When you're an 80s boat owner and all you've ever had were 80s boats, you look at all these plastic production boats with sort of a choice. Because your boat doesn't do what their boat does, you choose to want a boat like theirs or you choose to despise them. The easy move to protect my ego would be to hate these sugar scoop having, back bedroom sleeping, super tall freeboard, coach top skylight, no sea berth, separate shower production boats. I could choose to just hate them, to discredit them. One could just say, they're all junk. They're ugly. They're poorly made. They can't possibly be as good as my boat. That's the easy move. The more difficult move is the one that wouldn't protect my ego. To look at these newfangled white plastic bleach bottle boats and see something more. Be able to say, yes, the hull of my time-tested Sparkman and Stevens boat is overlaid, near 2 inches thick in some places. But in the end, it doesn't have to be. To be able to be forward-thinking for just a second and say, maybe there is a place in this sailing world of ours for a boat that, while still taking good sailing seriously, also admits that comfort exists. Headroom, stand-up showers, 7-foot-long berths, and, God forbid, a way to get back out of the water onto the boat without a health and safety person telling you need to wear a hard hat and climbing gear. This isn't to say that I hate 80s boats. I love them. I mean, I keep buying them. But it is to say that there is a place in sailing for production boats. A big place. And some of them are so well executed that I think they can give us the best of both worlds. What if I told you that you could have a production boat, 13 feet wide, ridiculously high freeboard, a comfortable bed, all the hallmarks of Grandpa's Beneteau, but still one hell of a racer cruiser? Something that will put her ear in the water and slice almost straight into the wind. It's totally at home too, though, with 14 people in the cockpit sipping sundowners, or drag racing downwind with the symmetrical up and a proper team of 8 racers on board. There is one such boat. The racers love them, and it's a boat that lets me, with my weird personality, have a little slice of the $150,000 boat for way less money. And that's my angle, so I can be frugal. This is why I bang on about the Hunter Legend. And let's be clear from the start. I mean legend, not the B&R rig, no backstay, tiny jib hunter your neighbor Mike from down the dock has that he won't stop washing. I mean legend with a backstay, usually an adjustable one. And let's start with the smallest, cheapest version. A boat that needs no introduction to racers anywhere in the world. A boat that you would routinely see with carbon fiber and Kevlar sails. They made this thing all the way back in the 80s, but look what it can do for 40 grand. From the hop, we get a transom with some sort of newfangled cutout that you might be able to walk through if you wanted to do something crazy with your boat, like go swimming. Note the little windows in the side of the hull. We get a super high freeboard on this boat that will keep us dry. A big cockpit with lots of seats, just like a Beneteau. We get super wide side decks to keep our jerry cans on, but also very inboard jib tracks and chain plates. Interesting. This boat has its dinghy on the deck, but I see an anchor locker here, like a cruising boat. We get a very tall and powerful rig, though, to maximize that light air should we need to. And look at the size of the boom. It's almost half the boat. And the headstay is fractional. Is this a cruising boat or a racing boat? We get a shallow keel that we might need and lots of fancy stuff in the cockpit to play with. But remembering that this boat is 40 grand and extremely fast, surely the interior is going to suck, right? Wrong. We get a full-on I live on this boat style galley. We get an amazing interior, and note how bright it is in here. This isn't an 80s boat, dark cave of teak and mahogany. It's very production boat down here. We get all sorts of storage and nice upholstery and 2 doors at the back. I mean, we have a V-berth like every other boat, but at the back, we get a linear island bed in a 37 boat from 1987. I didn't know we had even invented linear island beds in 1987. Did you? Someone should have told the rest of the fleet here, because Hunter figured out how to sleep 2 people side by side, but still let them get out of bed separately. It seems like every other sailboat up to this point just assumed that that was impossible. There was no way 2 people would wake up at different times. Couples always wake up together, right? They pee together. There's no world in which one person might want to get out of bed without waking up the other person. That's 40 grand, and not just that Legend 37. There's tons of them, and they're all cheap. And that's my angle into getting $150,000 boat things without spending that kind of money. I love it. But I also love you guys who support this channel. The mission here at Lady K Sailing has always been to get more people sailing more easily, and I couldn't do it without you. A big shout out to the patrons who give a couple of bucks an episode so that we can do this together, get more people sailing. If you'd like to help out, please consider becoming a patron. And if that walk-through transom is not enough for you, Hunter did a redesign of this boat in the 90s and called it the 37.5. This time, basically the same hull, but you get a whole sugar scoop. You get more windows and updated features. They also moved the Traveler from the cockpit to the coach top to become more of a cruising boat, easier to live with. But while the old Legend 37 had a PHRF rating of 96, this one jumped to about 111. For you racers out there, that is very fast for a 37-footer with an aft cabin. And the interior is still awesome. They want 70 grand for this boat, and it's honestly worth it, but you could find the 37.5 for around 50 if you look hard enough. And then there's the 40.5, which is just more boat, more windows, more space. And the 430 if you want to go even bigger. Now, I obviously make this video to make a point, or maybe more than one point. The first is this: Hunter has a bad rep for boats like the 380. No backstay, tiny jib, B&R rig that's more complicated than filling out customs forms in Spanish. It's a good lake boat. It's a floating condo, but it's not a great sailboat. There is a very definitive difference between Hunter and Hunter Legend. My second point is this: production boats have a place in this world. You may not love them. You may not even like them. But I think if we push ego aside for a minute, there are some really nice production boats out there, and while they may not survive a North Atlantic crossing in a Force 8 with 40-footers, they were never intended to. My third point is this: you can go buy a $40,000 37-footer with an aft cabin, a 13-foot beam, and maybe even a sugar scoop that will still sail like a stabbed rat on methamphetamine. Hate it or love it, these are cool boats. Please leave a like on this video if you made it this far, and I'd love a comment below. If you have a subscription to, say, a sailing magazine that's world-renowned for excellent articles on helping you with your boat, what would you want them to write about next? Throw me an article idea in the comments if you would. Also, I'll be in Florida in February for the Miami International Boat Show. I hope to see you there. That's it for this week, friends. Until next time, keep the heavy side down, but not too far down. I love you guys.